They already own your phone, your solar panels, your EV battery, and now they are coming for something much bigger. In January 2026, China showed up to America's own technology showcase, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and took it over. 38 humanoid robot companies on the floor, 21 of them Chinese, more than half. Unitree's booth was so packed that every robot on display sold out before the show ended. Agibot presented on American soil for the first time. Noetix, Galbat, Engine AI, booth after booth after booth. But Las Vegas was just the opening move. China's robots have left home. They are in Dubai. They are in German factories. They are in Silicon Valley research labs. And the world is only just starting to realize they were already here before anyone thought to look. To understand why China's robots are going global, you have to understand what happened at home first. In 2025, Chinese companies shipped somewhere between 87 and 90% of every humanoid robot sold anywhere on Earth. Not in China, on Earth. The top humanoid robot makers by units shipped last year were Agibot and Unitree, both Chinese, followed by UB Tech, Leju Robotics, Engine AI, and Fourier Intelligence, all Chinese. Boston Dynamics, Figure AI, Tesla Optimus, the American names that dominate Western headlines, did not make the top 6. Unitree alone shipped roughly 36 times more units last year than Figure AI and Tesla combined. That is not a typo, 36 times. The reason is vertical integration. China does not just build the robots, China builds the factories that build the robots, the sensors that go inside them, the actuators that move their joints, the batteries that power them, and the AI chips that run them. At CES 2026, Chinese firms did not just show robots. They showed the entire stack, from perception hardware to manipulation models to cloud platforms. One analyst described it as watching a complete ecosystem arrive fully formed. The domestic competition has been brutal. Over 140 manufacturers, over 330 models. Companies fighting each other on price, capability, and speed. That competition made them sharp. And now the sharpest of them are looking outward. The global push is not happening slowly, it is happening on every front simultaneously. At CES in Las Vegas in January, Chinese robots dominated the floor. At MWC in Barcelona in February, Honor unveiled its first humanoid robot to a global audience, and Tiangong 3.0 made its international debut. In Dubai, in the middle of the desert, Chinese autonomous delivery vehicles are already operational. Songyan Dynamics has announced a target of 5 core regions for 2026. North America, the Middle East, Europe, Southeast Asia, and Japan-Korea. It aims to ship thousands of units internationally by the second quarter of this year, not by the end of the year, the second quarter. In Korea, China's big 5 humanoid robot companies are gathering this month at Smart Factory and Automation World, the first time they have appeared together on Korean soil. In Germany, Agibot has partnered with Minth, one of Europe's major automotive component manufacturers, to begin real-world deployment in European factories. In Malaysia, Agibot has opened an experience center. In North America, Magic Atom established localized research, product, and delivery teams years ago. Their co-founder stated plainly, China accounts for 17% of global GDP. Therefore, China should account for 17% of their global sales. The other 83% is everyone else. And they are coming for it. The industrial robot export numbers tell the same story. In 2020, China held 5.9% of global industrial robot exports. By 2024, that had risen to 16.7%, nearly tripling in 4 years. Southeast Asia and Europe are currently China's largest export markets, pulled in by China's dominance in automotive and electronics manufacturing supply chains. Where Chinese cars go, Chinese robots follow. Where Chinese factories go, Chinese automation follows. The EV playbook is being run again, and this time the product is not a car. It is a worker. Here's the part of the story that almost nobody is talking about. As Chinese humanoid robot companies push into Western markets, they face real obstacles: regulatory compliance, data sovereignty, the question of whether a Chinese-made robot running Chinese software, collecting data in American or European facilities, will be allowed to operate at scale. These are not hypothetical concerns. They are active political flashpoints. So how are Chinese companies navigating them? Some of them are doing it with help from an American company. A US-based startup called OpenMind has developed OM1, an open-source AI-native operating system designed specifically for robots. And OpenMind is already working with Unitree, UB Tech, Agibot, Lim X Dynamics, Booster Robotics, and Engine AI to help them scale internationally. The OpenMind CEO Jan Leppard said it plainly. China is unquestionably ahead of the US in robotics hardware. The vertically integrated supply chains, the fierce domestic competition, the iteration speed. The hardware advantage is real and acknowledged. What Chinese companies need help with is the software layer and the regulatory navigation to operate in Western markets. OM1 runs on US infrastructure, stores data locally, and is designed to give Chinese robots a credible compliance story in North American and European regulatory environments. Think about what that means. An American company is building the bridge that helps Chinese robots cross into Western markets at scale. The hardware is Chinese. The operating system is American. The robots end up everywhere. Agibot has gone even further on the compliance problem. Their A2 robot, their flagship service humanoid, is certified for China, the United States, and European markets simultaneously. Triple certification, the regulatory nightmare that most companies would spend years navigating, Agibot has already cleared. An Agibot A2 can be shipped from Shanghai and deployed in a German warehouse, an American retail facility, or a Chinese factory floor without jumping through additional regulatory hoops. That is not a technical achievement. That is a commercial weapon. China's robots face 4 gates they must cross to go from global presence to global dominance. The first is compliance. Every market has different rules. North America emphasizes safety standards. Europe prioritizes environmental protection and data privacy. Japan and Korea have their own frameworks. Navigating all of them simultaneously while iterating products at Chinese speed is an enormous operational challenge. This is exactly why Open Minds Bridge matters. But regulatory environments can also change overnight, especially in a world where Chinese technology is under political scrutiny in Washington and Brussels. The second obstacle is service and support. Selling a robot is one thing. Keeping it running in a warehouse in Germany or a factory in Texas with local technicians, local spare parts, and local response times and sizes is a completely different operational challenge. Chinese companies are building local support networks rapidly. Deep Robotics is doing it in North America, Agibot in Europe, but at scale, the service infrastructure required to support thousands of deployed robots across multiple continents is a massive undertaking that no Chinese company has yet proven it can deliver. The third obstacle is the AI gap. Chinese companies lead decisively on hardware, but the software race, the AI models that determine what a robot can actually do in an unstructured environment, is still being run. US companies like Physical Intelligence, Skilled AI, and Google Gemini Robotics lead on generalization. NVIDIA leads the robotics software stack. Most Chinese humanoid startups still run on NVIDIA chips. The hardware is ahead of the software by a significant margin. A robot that can walk perfectly but cannot adapt to unexpected situations is not ready for real-world commercial deployment at scale. That gap is closing, but it is not closed yet. The fourth obstacle is geopolitics. The US government has already moved to restrict Chinese technology in sensitive sectors: drones, semiconductors, telecommunications. Robots that collect spatial data inside American factories, warehouses, and homes represent the next frontier of that debate. Whether Chinese robots face the same political headwinds that hit Huawei and DJI is a question that has not been answered yet, but it is being asked in Washington, and the answer could reshape the entire global expansion story overnight. In 2025, roughly 13,000 humanoid robots were shipped globally. That is the entire global market, a number smaller than the population of a small town. But look at the projections. Morgan Stanley has raised its 2026 forecast for Chinese humanoid robot sales to 28,000 units, a 133% jump year-on-year. Goldman Sachs projects the global humanoid robot market will reach 2.6 million units by 2035, from 13,000 to 2.6 million in under 10 years. That is not incremental growth. That is the smartphone curve. That is the EV curve. That is what happens when a transformative technology crosses the price threshold that makes it accessible at scale. China is not waiting for that curve to happen. China is building the infrastructure to own it. The 15th Five-Year Plan, launching in 2026, identifies robotics as a core pillar of China's new economic growth model. The government is funding training sites across Beijing, Wuhan, and Shanghai, where robots operate in simulated retail outlets, elderly care facilities, and smart homes, collecting the real-world data that will make their AI better than anyone else's. Chinese robots deploy more. They collect more data. Better data makes better AI. Better AI makes better robots. The loop is self-reinforcing, and it is already running. One analyst framed the entire situation in a single sentence that has stayed with me. Chinese companies believe that if you can manufacture at scale, you can innovate. And they are not wrong. The confidence in China's humanoid robot industry is not based on a single breakthrough. It is based on the belief that iteration speed, the ability to build, test, improve, and ship faster than any competitor, is the ultimate competitive advantage. At CES 2026, Chinese engineers from Hangzhou told MIT Technology Review, There are AI hackathons every week in their city. Every week. That is what relentless iteration looks like in practice. And the robots it produces are now on planes, crossing borders, and arriving in factories and showrooms and research labs around the world. 10 years ago, China's electric vehicles were dismissed as cheap imitations. Today, BYD outsells Tesla globally. China controls over 60% of all EVs sold worldwide. The analysts who laughed at Chinese EVs in 2015 are not laughing now. The playbook is identical. Domestic domination first, vertical integration, government backing, price compression, then export. The only question about China's robots was never whether they would go global. The question was always when. In 2026, the answer arrived. The robots have left home. They're in Las Vegas, they're in Dubai, they're in German factories and Korean exhibition halls and American research labs. They're coming for every market on Earth. And the companies that dismissed them, the way the auto industry dismissed BYD, are starting to realize they are already very late.